tonight. As uncertainty reigns throughout the Middle East, the call to bring Israeli hostages home continues to echo. And
in America, we do not kill people in cold blood to resolve policy differences.
Details emerge about the possible motive behind the shocking street murder of a health insurance CEO. Plus, how technology is helping people draw closer to God this Christmas season. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. From Jerusalem to Damascus, the rebel takeover of Syria is reshaping the Middle East. Good evening in Washington. I'm Tara Mergener. Well, Israeli troops are advancing into Syria tonight after a lightning offensive by rebel forces brought dictator Bashar al-Assad's rule to a stunning end. The IDF is also carrying out strikes across the country, destroying Syria's navy and working to create a buffer zone in the south to keep terrorists away from Israel's borders. Today, Israel's defense minister sent this warning to the rebels who toppled Assad's regime.
From here, I warn the rebel leaders in Syria. Whoever follows Assad's path will end up like Assad. We will not allow an extreme Islamic terrorist entity to act against Israel across its borders and while putting its citizens at risk. We will do whatever is necessary to remove the threat.
Meanwhile, a window into life under the Assad regime, families pouring into a notorious military prison looking for their missing loved ones. It is here that Assad locked up his political rivals for decades, many facing torture and death. This while the search intensifies for Austin Tice, an American journalist kidnapped in 2012. Today, U.S. officials are looking into reports he may be in or around Damascus. Now, while the U.S. has sent a hostage envoy to Beirut seeking information about Tice, Israel is focused on freeing hostages trapped in the Gaza Strip. Hamas is holding nearly 100 people captive, and their families are on a mission, traveling the world with one clear message: bring them home. And one of those family members is here with us now. Yarden Gonen's sister, Romy, was kidnapped by Hamas at the Nova Music Festival last October. Yarden, I know you have been through so much. Tell us about your sister.
Wow, that's my favorite question, I must say, because you can see by her face, by her smile, she's lighting up the room when she enters. She's our little sunshine. She loves and adores her family, her siblings, her friends. She would do anything for other person, you know? She's a warrior of justice. She's a medic. And she's just an amazing human being that does nothing wrong to no one ever. She deserves to come home for her family. I'm talking to you and my pulse rises because I just feel the hug that I will get when she'll get home. Hopefully soon enough.
I can see the resemblance, and you do have reason to believe she is alive.
Yeah, we do. We know that she is alive. Not only her, but among her, the 100 hostages that are currently held by Hamas terrorists, we have 50 other hostages that are still alive and really fighting every single day, every minute of the day to survive until we all rescue them from there. We will all save them. And we saw it already happening last year in November on an amazing deal that saved more than 100 lives, more than 100 world souls that just wanted to come back home. And we really need your help in that, because we will fight until the last one of them. We need the great America to fight alongside of us, as I already know you do. By your prayers, by your actions, by your demands from your leadership, by just being our best allies. And we have so much appreciation for that, you know.
You were telling me before the show that you've been back here to the United States 7 times, right? You're here with a delegation now.
Yeah.
After all of this and all of the people that you have talked to, right, since October 7th, how are you holding on hope at this point?
We have no other choice, you know? We won't let them beat us. beat our souls by taking our hope. I have this necklace on me that is written hope on it with the Star of David, because this is what symbolizes most, I think, the Israeli and the Jewish people, that we hold on to hope and our core values that we all share together, not just the Jewish people, but all human beings, that life matters, that we should fight for life. We should save our brothers and sisters from hell, and the free world should help us and themselves, actually, to fight against terrorism. And the first step is to save them. And I think that I'm so hopeful, because I know that my sister is coming home alive. I just need it to be soon.
And we pray that for all the hostages as well. We've got a new administration, President-elect Donald Trump coming in, as you know.
Yeah.
Does this give you a renewed sense of optimism? I know you're trying very hard to hold on to all this hope, and we know it's difficult. Do you feel more hopeful at this point with him coming in?
Yes, I can see how everything shifted since he was elected, and also because of his statements that are not going to both ways, only one direction, and the important direction. And we see through that and through the working together of the current administration and the one that should enter on January 20th, that this is not this is a bipartisan issue. This is a matter of human rights and human beings, and to save humanity. And we also see them working together, aligned together to this mission to get them all out of there. And we have this feeling of wind of change because of him electing, and also because of the holiday season, you know?
A lot of hope.
We have, Christmas and Hanukkah are aligned together to the same day. It's not by mistake. I really feel it, that this year I would light up the candles with my sister on Hanukkah. I know it.
We pray you're right. She's got a beautiful smile. We're praying for all the hostages. We know how strong you are, Yarden. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck, and keep us updated.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing and everything that you'll be doing since now.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Changing gears here, investigations are underway into pro-Hamas demonstrations that turned violent earlier this year. A House committee met today to pursue holding those involved accountable. CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London joins us with the details on today's hearing. Michelle.
Well, House Oversight Chairman Representative Bruce Westerman says many unanswered questions remain from those protests. He specifically asked Charles Cuvelier of the National Park Service how an unorganized protest here in the nation's capital went totally out of control.
D.C. is no stranger to protests and free speech demonstrations, but in this case, something went horribly wrong.
And that resulted in massive violence and destruction.
The rioters chanted terrorist slogans, hurled what appeared to be human feces at U.S. Park police officers, destroyed government property.
Rep. Westerman added that he witnessed the riots' aftermath, then joined other members of Congress to replace American flags previously burned to the ground.
That night, I joined my fellow Republican members to return Old Glory to its rightful place.
The violence in front of Union Station happened the same day Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke to a joint session of Congress. According to the subcommittee's report, the organizer called Answer obtained a permit from the Park Service for a peaceful protest.
That's why we are here today, to investigate how pro-Hamas protests turned National Park Service land into a violent national disgrace.
During the hearing came this heated exchange between Indiana Rep. Rudy Yackham and Charles Cuvelier.
Mr. Cuvelier, why did the U.S. Park Police only have 29 officers to monitor what was expected to be a 5,000-person protest? But where things were actually going wrong, on site at Union Station, how many officers were on site at Union Station where our American flag was torn down and burnt to the ground?
So I'm trying my best to answer your question. There were 174 for the total.
This is a very simple question here. I understand there were 174 people in total for the event. How many people were on site where the American flag was torn down and burnt, and then the Palestinian flag was subsequently raised? Very simple.
Sure. I will get back with you to the best of my ability.
But how do you not know that answer?
Since the riots, Cuvelier says 4 arrests have been made and insists more will follow. He also defended the Park Service's security strategy, saying they did what they thought was best to keep it peaceful and safe. Cuvelier couldn't answer whether the 4 protesters arrested were Americans or possibly illegal migrants. Meanwhile, the committee says July's violence has raised concerns on future riots Answer could be planning, specifically around the upcoming presidential inauguration. Tara.
Michelle, thank you. New details tonight about the man accused of gunning down United Health CEO Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan. Luigi Mangione is behind bars, charged with murder. Police say the 26-year-old viewed the killing as a symbolic takedown of the healthcare industry. A handwritten manifesto indicates he wanted revenge for alleged corruption, writing, "These parasites had it coming." The Maryland native had an Ivy League education and was valedictorian of his high school. Friends say they lost touch with him about 6 months ago after he had back surgery.
My understanding is his spine was misaligned. It wasn't like he was always in severe pain, but it seems like certain things would trigger it.
The New York Times also cited Reddit posts where he shared about other health issues like brain fog and stomach issues. Mangione was arrested after being spotted by a McDonald's employee in Altoona, Pennsylvania, Monday. Police recovered a fake ID, ghost gun, and a suppressor. Tim Miller joins us now. He is a former Secret Service agent and the founder and president of Lionheart. Tim, welcome. Thanks for being here. A former Ivy League classmate describes the suspect as a nice, normal guy, quote unquote, and his family says they lost touch, as we mentioned, after his back surgery. Based on the details so far, do you have any theories of a motive, and are there any similarities to past cases that might come to mind?
Yeah, you know, it's important that we recognize that he didn't just wake up one day and decide he was going to do this. This has been in his mind and in his planning for a long time. Ghost guns don't appear. The manifesto didn't just magically appear. So to your point, the question is always important. I know we did this in the Secret Service. What started this thinking process? And I'll tell you, it's kind of scary to think that at his school, there were many that were advocating violence. Think just not too long ago, there was advocating violence against Jews. It is horrifying that at Ivy League schools, some of the brightest and the best are beginning to adopt this ideology. And I would remind you, it wasn't just the healthcare industry that he's angry at. He's angry at corporate America. So think about that as you process how many more of these types of mindsets are being developed in our country. It's a scary thought.
You know, interestingly, and unfortunately, he's actually receiving sympathy from some people disillusioned by the healthcare system. How problematic is that to the investigation? And is there a high risk of a copycat here?
Yeah, and that's always the golden question, and you're spot on. See, here's the danger, too. He's being treated as a celebrity. I mean, girls are reaching out asking if he's married. I mean, it is a dangerous, dangerous game. We saw that with school shooters all the way back to Columbine. Dylan and Klebold were kind of the model. Well, that means there are others out there like him that are likely to get caught up in this ideology. And let me be clear, it's an ideology of pure hatred. Hatred over time always leads to violence.
Tim, does it look to you at this point like he had help? Or, you know, social media is buzzing with all kinds of theories, some commenting on why would he be sitting in McDonald's with all that evidence on him? Is there a fall guy, or is he the fall guy?
Yeah, you know, that's what the investigation is going to determine. And I don't want to go ahead of the horse here, because the bottom line is, if you think of the methodology of the attack, it was not by someone that was clearly thinking this through. I mean, his face being exposed, we could go right down the list. So I think what's going to come out over time is the clear reminder that he'd been thinking about this for a while. Now, I don't fool myself for a second and think he was the only one done thinking about this. I think that's the danger to our country. There are lots of people that think that the only answer to their ideology is violence. And in this case, they took the life of a father and a husband who did what? You know, he just had a job that this person didn't like.
Right. Tim Miller, we're out of time, but thank you for that analysis. So many more developments to come. We appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, up next, Trump's cabinet picks facing fire on Capitol Hill, what it means for his transition, right after this. Although November election exit polls indicated most Americans are unhappy with the current economy, as he's preparing to leave office, President Biden is looking back on his administration's often touted success on the issue. Speaking today at the Brookings Institution, the president highlighted job growth and the Inflation Reduction Act as wins and warned of what could come under Trump 2.0.
I pray to God, because I think everybody has an opportunity to reconsider the growth. I pray to God the President-elect throws away Project 2025. I think it would be an economic disaster for us in the region.
A recent Gallup poll finds Americans' economic confidence has jumped 9% after the election of Donald Trump. Well, as the president-elect's transition to the White House moves ahead, his nominee for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth back on Capitol Hill today, hoping to convince GOP senators he is the man for the job despite weeks of backlash. His confirmation could hinge on the support of female Republican senators in the wake of allegations of sexual assault and excessive drinking. Meanwhile, Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, also on Capitol Hill today, facing questions about Syria and the fall of the Assad regime. Gabbard made an unsanctioned trip to Syria in 2017 to meet with Assad. She was later criticized when she refused to call him an enemy of the United States. Trump says the U.S. should have nothing to do with the current crisis.
I stand in full support and wholeheartedly agree with the statements that President Trump has made over these last few days with regards to the developments in Syria.
Gabbard has never worked in intelligence and, if confirmed, would oversee 18 intelligence agencies. Coming up, faith meets technology this Christmas, but can AI and social media really help you connect with God? That and more next on Faith Nation. It is Christmas time, of course, and many people are trying to draw closer to God. An increasing number are turning to technology for help, while social media apps can offer some guidance. As CBN's Charlene Aaron explains, some tech tools, especially artificial intelligence, present challenges.
The popular Hallow Prayer app recently launched a campaign to help people connect with God during the Christmas season. It's another example of how today's tech can quickly spread the gospel to more people than ever before. Some warn, however, that's why guardrails need to be in place before fully embracing all forms of technology. People in more than 150 countries are using their cell phones to help their prayer life through Hallow, the world's leading prayer app. CEO and co-founder Alex Jones tells CBN News he developed it after rediscovering his faith.
I started discovering this whole world of contemplative and meditative prayer within the church and within Christianity, and it just changed my life. It brought me back to my faith. It's the most important part of who I am, and so we built the first version of the app really just for me to try to keep growing in this practice of daily prayer.
That's why they recently launched the Advent Pray 25 Challenge to encourage people to pray and meditate on Scripture leading up to Christmas. Jonathan Rumi, who portrays Jesus in The Chosen, leads the campaign.
I use the app every day myself. So, you know, it really is one of the greatest gifts in the modern age to be able to have this and to have, you know, thousands and thousands, 10,000 prayers on the app. You know, all of these are individual ways that a person can connect to Jesus, to God in a way that they maybe hadn't considered before.
This tech connection can also be seen in the pulpit. According to the faith-based technology platform Glue, almost 20% of church leaders say they use artificial intelligence on a daily or weekly basis.
Close to a third of those leaders range from being positive to excited about the result. While much debate surrounds this specific tech, Andre Echevarria of Digital Strategies at Cru, formerly Campus Crusade for Christ, contends Christians can use it for good.
I would say that rather than debating that part, I would say, can we redeem it for the glory of God? And that's actually what we're doing here. We're using a lot of that technology to be able to actually help people discover a relationship with Jesus.
He believes it's a matter of how AI is used.
If you think about it as an advanced intern, an intern, you obviously wouldn't let them run your radio show, Billy, right? You'd have them, but maybe do some research and maybe bring up some topics, ideas, and some things that you can then fine tune.
Recently in Rome, a Catholic chapel used a computerized avatar of Jesus to answer questions from visitors on issues of faith and morality.
AI Jesus existed for 2 months, and there was a big interest, so many people came to talk with him. So we have like 900 conversations now registered, and all ages also, I can say. There were young people, older people, and what was really interesting to see that the people really talked with him in a serious way.
Schmidt says their intent was to recognize the growing importance of artificial intelligence in human lives, even when it comes to religion. Meanwhile, Echevarria reminds us no tech could ever do what a human filled with the Spirit of God can do.
AI doesn't have a story. We have a story. And that story God continues to write.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, a sea of Santas floods the street. This holiday tradition next on Faith Nation. Finally tonight, an annual Christmas tradition in Las Vegas has a unique way of ushering in the holiday season. It is called the Great Santa Run, and every year, thousands of people suit up like Santa Claus and gather for a race through the streets of downtown Las Vegas. The race includes Santas of all ages, and the event is stroller, wheelchair, and pet-friendly. All of the proceeds from the event go to support Opportunity Village and its mission to serve and empower people with intellectual disabilities in Nevada. And that's going to do it for Faith Nation. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.